It is unfortunate you came in, Honorable Shabe. It is unfortunate that you came in when my co-chair had communicated about our interaction with the Ministry of Finance. We want to first listen from our stakeholders and then later on, because they were supposed to be with us yesterday. Unfortunately, you weren't around. They appeared, but they were late and we had to go for plenary. So we have rescheduled them. Indeed, we are going to have them. They are coming on board. But back to my sister Obiga and Geoffrey, I think you're making valid observations. And I agree with you, yet. And you've indeed rightly said that the team that is before us is led by a respected colleague, minister, and even the rest of the team that are here are very respectable. And we appreciate that they've come before us to make sure that they give us their submission. It is also true that the Minister of Health has communicated to us and only sent this with a few of her staff who have come. But I would like to agree with you that we shall insist and ask her to come in person or the PS. So the Ministry of Health team that is here, and one of the doctors had said they are apologizing, they're here by mistake. They weren't here by mistake. But having said that, it is okay. We'll request that you take the message to the minister. We'll also communicate to her. I will let you know when we reschedule you and agree with her. But we have received your submission, but we need to have her in person. Thank you so much. I think
Parliament and this committee, the joint meeting, to find solution and find answers to one of the first times I used to belong to Natural Resources Committee. This problem was there. But Chair, we never did what you are doing now. This is a very unique and a better way to handle this thing. I must commend you and Parliament for having this strategy and role. We are here not to accuse anybody, but we are here to tell you why are we owing national water, which is a government parastatal. And my presentation, I will start with the Minister of Defense team, and then followed by Minister of Internal Affairs, who are basically into two. Ours defense is one, but speaking through all. So the team to lead us, the person to lead us on that, the people are here. The planners, the people who handle finances, we've been accused. When I went there, I saw the bills were high. I said, are you people not planning to pay? They are here to tell us the challenges. But the good news is also in the report that we have. Thank you. Mrs. Buturo or Mr. Kairita, who is going to speak first?
Joint management of the bills, right from the unit, and then the joint reconciliation processes with National Water. So he'll give us the technical input. I'll give the overview. Honorable Chairs, with your permission, through my minister. Chair, we have a presentation before us. I'm glad to report that we are not just reporting challenges, but we're also reporting a future hope. And we have before us a presentation that covers first of all, I want to thank the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Chair, that has regularly intervened in this situation of utilities, specifically national water. In the financial year 21-22, we're able to receive an additional funding on top of the allocation then to cover the whole water requirement for the financial year and financial years following. We got an additional 7 billion that gave us 12 billion shillings in that financial year, expected to cover the whole water requirement of the year. Along the along the way, Chair, we had some occurrences. Occurrence one was there was an increase in the water tariff. We shall have the detail from the technical team. The increase in the water tariff for the last 3 financial years that impacted that additional funding. We also had a good intervention, Chair, a good occurrence, infrastructure development. We've been adding to our barracks and other facilities, and this came with an implication of additional water requirements. So all these, that's why we have our engineering chief here, who is responsible for construction in the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. So as a result, Chair, we got an additional requirement that has turned into a gap annually of about 15 billion shillings, raising the water bill from 12 billion to 27 billion per year. So we have, going forward, that gap. We also have an arrears stock of about 21 billion, previously 27 billion, that we have reduced by only 6 billion. This 6 billion, Chair, was a balance on financial year 22-23. That year had about 21 billion shillings not paid. We paid 15 billion and left 6 billion shillings unpaid. So this was offset by the allocation in financial year 23-24. We just paid this off in financial 24-25, sorry. So we have, as a result, an outstanding 21 billion shillings. This 21 billion is a partial reconciliation of, like I said, we do it jointly with National Water. So this 21 billion.6 is what is known to us as Ministry of Defense as an outstanding bill. We have, like I said, there's a gap as a result of paying the arrears taking first call on the current budget. We have now a gap in the 23-24, of course, which is now arrears, and then a gap in 24-25 arising from the reasons I gave you. And in total, the two combined give us a yet to be reconciled and projected also position of 36.3 billion shillings in arrears. That is what the position we have as defense known to us. And we have, as like I said, we have a hope. The future hope is that we are going to address this at 6.3 billion. We are in touch with the Ministry of Finance, and just this morning we got confirmation again from the PSST that this arrears stock of 36.3 billion shillings will be paid over a period of 3 financial years in a phased manner. So that is the position we have carried here today, 36.3 billion over 3 financial years. But that leaves, of course, the unfunded gap I've told you about of 15 billion in the current year and going forward, which we are also planning to pay through rationalization of our budget, because we do that every year to look at priorities. We do priority setting every financial year. So we are taking utilities as a very key priority area, and we are hoping that the 15 billion gap, which may increase as infrastructure development also goes on, we shall have to do that through rationalization and also constant engagement with the Ministry of Finance to fund that gap. So that's what I can report for now, Honorable Chairs, and thank you very much. My colleagues will, Secretary Rita will give us the detail. Thank you.
As the Minister has said, we are in debt. We confirm that we are indebted to National Water. Every year, we carry out reconciliation exercise with National Water and Sewage Corporation. So when we did reconcile for 22-23, we derived a debt of about 27 billion, but we paid part of that debt, and we carried forward 6.2 billion shillings. Now, at the for financial year 23-24, that reconciliation has not been concluded. But the National Water and Sewage Corporation presented bills, a schedule of bills worth 21.6 billion shillings. And of this, the bills we had were worth 17 billion, leaving about 5 billion bills not in our hands. So we have agreed with the National Water that for us to confirm this 21.6 debt in its present state, or to actually determine how much it should be, we have to get the bills that are worth 5 billion. Right now we have teams on which the ministry's staff and the National Water are moving in the field. Some are in Kisoro right now, others are in the northern side, to ensure that we establish from the units the bills that are worth 5 billion, where they are. And actually what we are told is that they are there. The units confirmed them. They get, when they receive a bill, they endorse to say that we have actually consumed water in this amount every month. And they give it back to the entity, National Water, to deliver it to us. Now, some of these bills didn't come worth that much. So, Chair, what we are saying is that at the start of the current financial year, the debt position, we estimated it to be 27.8 billion, comprised of the 6 billion point 2 from the previous year and the 21.6 billion that the National Water submitted, but before it could be verified, as I said. Now, in this financial year, payment of 8.6 billion shillings was made as part of the arrears settlement. And the ministry is also processing 2.4 billion shillings to National Water from this to the present quarter. And by the end of the financial year, we shall have paid another 2.4 billion, which should bring this debt down to 14.4 billion shillings. However, while we are settling that debt, we are also consuming, so we have 21.9 billion shillings that we expect to incur by the end of the financial year. When we add it to the other debt that we are bringing forward, we project that we shall be in debt by 36.3 billion shillings. That's why I said, Honorable Chairs, that we confirm that we are in debt to National Water. But we only need time to conclude the reconciliation, and then we can say with specificity as to how much we owe by the end of 30th June 2024. 2025, because we are still consuming, there will be another reconciliation exercise. But this is what we project to incur by the end of the financial year, Honorable Chair. Now, the accounting officer has already talked about the problem of budget versus consumption, which we had put in the brief. The budget being at 12.7 billion shillings, but the actual consumption being equivalent to 27 billion shillings, which gives us a shortfall from the budget perspective of 15 billion shillings. Chair, we need also to point out that we consume water not only from national water, but other entities. So whereas the budget of 12 billion is available, not all of it goes to payment to national water. We also consume water from other institutions, such as the Central Umbrella for water supply, the Midwestern Umbrella, Southwestern Umbrella, even our very own Luwero Industries, Karamoja Umbrella and North Umbrella. Each of these we have to pay for using the... Chair, you are giving me some supplement, but I didn't hear. Yes, obviously, Chair. Yeah. So this 12.7 billion shillings as debt against our actual consumption implies that we shall be in debt for some time until the measures we are proposing take root. Chair, the accounting officer already talked about the budget inadequacy and the raise in the budget in tariffs by national water. These tariffs have increased from initially 3,558 per cubic meter to 4,274 shillings per cubic meter. And this is a quantum increase of 716 shillings per cubic meter. If we multiply this rate by the units we consume, we can show a substantial increment in the actual bill. The accounting officer has also pointed out already, Chair, that we had increased consumption due to installations, our dispositions increasing and connections to those facilities. That obviously comes with an additional volume of water consumed and an additional cost. There's also a standing policy that each time you have domestic arrears, these should take first call on the budget of the following financial year, which we have tried to do, Chair, and that again doesn't help matters. We have to remain in debt. Now, Honorable Chairs, we have some modest proposals as way forward, and these are that we are looking at developing our own water sources and supply network, especially in peri-urban and rural areas. We have a directive on this, and we have been working on it, but also due to budget constraint, we haven't made a substantial coverage. But if we can do it fully, it should reduce our reliance on national water and other providers. But maybe national water also wants us to be there, because otherwise they will lose a customer. However, our directive is clear and our effort focus is clear. We would like to achieve independence. Then they can market water to other people. Chair, with consultation from the Ministry of Finance, we have been given a commitment that they will allocate resources in the budget to enable us offset the arrears in 3 financial years, starting next financial year. We believe that they will commit to this and enable us to offset the actual indebtedness. So assuming that is 30 billion shillings, in the first year maybe 10 billion, another 10 and another 10, or some amount as they will find appropriate to stagger. Chair, that also implies that we have to have an additional allocation to the budget so that we're able to offset current consumption bills as they arise. And we put a full stop to the accumulation of of areas. Chair, we shall also continue to strengthen efficiency measures. We have measures in place where we read meters jointly with the providers every month, and we document so that we don't have overstatement of bills for any reason, either by error or otherwise. And we have also urged the command and control structures to ensure that any water losses that may happen in the units are controlled, and that when the bills are presented, they are verified, endorsed, and submitted for prompt handling. We hope, Honorable Chair, that will bring control, if not complete stoppage, the accumulation of arrears. Meet, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I think
Members, the situation in internal affairs is not any different. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has a number of institutions, independent institutions, as represented here. We have the Uganda Police Force and the Uganda Prison Service. And both of these institutions every year have been receiving an amount of budget allocation. However, the arrears every year have been accumulating, and we look at a continuous accumulation of arrears for both prisons and police forces. This one is in spite of the fact that we can, with some certainty, determine how much water we are going to consume in a year. All institutions can give you the exact, with some certainty, the amount of water that they are required for prisons and they are required for police, because we know. The challenge, therefore, is the budget provision to meet this, to meet the required utilities, in particular of water. I will invite we have two separate independent accounting officers of police and prisons to give the members the detail, but the overall is that the arrears are accumulating. While we are looking for mitigating measures, they have not been sufficient because the budget provision does not meet the need that is required. Honorable Chair, if you allow me, I will invite the accounting officer of the Uganda Police Force to give us more details about the situation in police, and thereafter the accounting officer of Uganda Prison Service to give the situation in prisons.
Please do.
Thank you. Accounting officer.
Before I hand you over to my accounting officer, I'd like just to give a brief that first of all, we appreciate this interaction with you to look at areas that we have as an institution. Unfortunately, we are only singling one area of where we are doing badly. That is the National Waters and Sewerage Corporation. But there is a general problem of areas. I wish there would also be a way of handling that. Because as we talk now, Uganda Police Force has 112 billion shillings in areas, of which 24 billion shillings is for National Waters and Sewerage Corporation. Now, our provision for this financial year for settling areas is only 3.9 billion shillings, out of which 1 billion is to pay National Water. So we really have that big problem. Our consumption, 90% is from the National Water and Sewerage Corporation and 10% from the other bodies that provide water. And now we are servicing this to 195,000 people, which include the police officers, their families, and also the public, especially those that seek services in our health centers, our clients who are the suspects, and issues to do with emergency, fire fighting, water. So all these consume a lot of water. However, like I said, we paid 1 billion, and what we are planning again to do is to pay 1.6 billion shillings. And of course, that is just a drop in the ocean. Unfortunately, we have not been promised, like you have heard from Ministry of Defense, where the Ministry of Finance has promised to offset some of the areas in the next 3 years. We have not had that interaction, neither have we been promised. So I don't know. Maybe we need to borrow how they successfully convinced finance to handle that. So without wasting much time, I'll hand you over to my accounting officer to give you the details of our standing. I thank you.
And members, there is a presentation that we prepared which I will just summarize. But to begin with, the problem of water consumption of police goes beyond the police staff. It is also for the average 4,000 people that visit police throughout the country. In custody, we have an average of 2,700, and about 1,300 people visit those people. And when they visit the police facilities, they use the national water. And you've also noticed very many instances of fire where we have to respond using water. But the most disturbing part of it is that we still have those old structures of police which you see. The plumbing system is dilapidated, and we have a lot of water leakages, which we cannot plug with the budget constraints that we currently have. Honourable members, there is also something that I need to bring out here. Water is supposed to be both clean and safe. But because of the, I think, plumbing problems and maybe national water not having enough budget, in addition to having that water there, we have to boil it using power for us to make it now safe. It is just clean water. You've been to places where you can take water off the tap. It is clean. So even the water that we have in barracks has to be boiled to make it safe. And that is also a big challenge now when it comes to the other costs of power. So,
Yes.
He's making
Yes, sir.
is not safe. To make it consumed, you have to first boil it. Is it the allegation you are making?
No, yeah, because their structures are dilapidated. So because of the pipes being old, by the time they receive the water, it is not as clean as it should be. But he can clarify.
What about the plumbing system of national water? Because it is a very sensitive issue.
No, let him clarify.
Contaminated, especially in the urban areas. And it's a fact. I do not know whether there is anybody who takes tap water off the tap like it is in other countries. I'm also trying to relate the plumbing, water bills, and also electricity, because soon we may also be coming here with something like what we are discussing today.
But now,
he has talked about
you need to submit to us a report of your findings, your research. Yeah, because you should have done the tests here. If you're trying to say that they are contaminated, we need to know they are contaminated with what.
Further clarification, Chair.
So that we submit this to the National Water and Sewage Corporation with evidence.
Further clarification to Parliament. It must not have the tests. You must have the evidence, whether you've done the fecal contamination, you've done the total suspended salts, you've done everything. And then you must submit that today. Because it is a serious allegation, we must hold the national water accountable here that their plumbing system is down, their water is contaminated. So I don't know whether we were saying you have findings and you have done tests for that. And if you have it, you can submit to the chair.
Chair.
Because it's a serious allegation.
Just a minute.
Chair.
What facts? Then we are not going to.
Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair.
If I could,
Chair.
if I could own up.
Just a minute.
Chair, I think we have so understood him differently. His statement was very clear, whereas it is a common fact that even us who have clean plumbing systems, we still boil the water, whereas that is a common fact that we know. However, for the dilapidated structures and systems that are in the police barracks, and maybe not limited to even the army and the prisons, the corrosion, the leakages that water goes through into their systems ends up in one way or the other also getting contaminated, and for the safety of the consumers, they do additional emphasis by boiling it. I think let's not get this out of board. It is let's not get that. Let's proceed. That can come up. Other evidences can come up. But let's proceed.
Honorable, that specific argument you're putting forward, we are now adding an assumption into another fallacious assumption, and then at the end of the day, we will carry the committee into, a treasure hunting kind of move in the bush. But I think the minister has a comment he would like to make. I think let us first hear from the minister.
The witnesses are making a submission. We started from defense. We have now moved to internal affairs. And we have not yet, it's not yet our time to make responses. Could it be procedure right that we take note of every detail of what is being submitted? Then it will come time for making our submission and responses, and the question is that and clarification is. Then all these matters will come, otherwise we may not get the clarity of how we are proceed. So I would suggest that we proceed that way, Mr. Chair.
Okay, now, whereas we agree with you, Honorable John Faith Magolo, the accounting officer is making the submission on behalf of the minister. Now, where the minister feels that the committee needs to be satisfied, and this was the argument Honorable Kanya was saying, that it has to be somebody who can take political responsibility. So where the committee seems to have a little bit of irritation with what the undersecretary, or rather the accounting officer is saying, it is better that we allow the minister put it back in line, then he can choose whether he would like to get back to the presenter or not. So, Honorable Minister.
Much obliged, Chair.
Thank you very much. Contamination or not, Honorable Ngura spoke about what anybody else would speak, and I think that is what the accounting officer was also alluding to, without knowing the gravity of the matter. I think I want to own up and withdraw that statement and ask him to stick to matters of what are the bills. Yes.
Chair, I think we are here for information purposes.
Yes.
These people are giving us information. This committee will do more about the information they receive here. Why are you stopping anybody from telling you what is at their base? We should just pick the information. We know how we work on it. Now, just because the minister is fearing, is even withdrawing the statement. But it is true, yes. It is true the plumbing system at police is bad. And that is what the gentleman is presenting
Honorable
here.
Shabi.
Just pick the information,
Honorable
see, go
Shabi.
prove about it.
Honorable
then we
Shabi.
move.
Honorable Shabi. I was still waiting for the procedural concern.
So the brother here forced this gentleman to appear as if he has made a mistake.
No,
but he has provided information which we need as this committee, that the plumbing system at police is bad. And that is the basic.
Now,
It's whether, not whether the water is contaminated or not.
exactly.
You don't need a report
I
to
think-
see bad water. You
No,
don't need
I
a report
think,
to see that the plumbing system
Honorable
is
Shabe.
wasting water.
Honorable Shabe, we have today. No one has threatened the witness, and I think we have only said that we would want a substantiated submission, okay? And if that is there, he would submit. But the minister said no, that has been withdrawn, and we are continuing discussing the matter for which they are here. And accounting officer, can you please proceed?
Honorable Chair, next time we shall be glad to give feedback about the quality of water and the challenges, including minutes of defense. It's a challenge that we still come to, but that is not why we are here. It was in the passing. The lawyers would say it was an obiter. Yeah. The accounting officer, I know how painful it is, but restrict yourself to why you are not paying the water bills.
Have largely been created by inadequate budget provision. Every year we project what is required and what is provided. You note a trend that what has been provided over the years has remained static in spite of the increase in the demand for water. In the financial year 2020-21, our requirement was projected at 21 billion and we only got 11 billion, creating a shortfall of 9.9. In the financial year 21-22, we projected to consume...
May I guide, please, that since this we can see them, just make a general comment referring to the table and then we proceed in the interest of time.
Okay, so honorable members, with our current areas of 24.1 billion, we've broken down how it has accumulated over the years, and we are also faced with a challenge where at times water is cut off in barracks, especially where we have enrolled on prepaid meters and there is no adequate provision, and this poses a very great risk to barracks dwellers. The inadequate budget has been mitigated by sinking boreholes, rainwater harvesting, and rationing of water in the major barracks. We have also tried to maintain the infrastructure for plumbing in some places. However, the budget still remains inadequate even to do rainwater harvesting and drilling of wells. We have a challenge of the increased personnel with low budget. We have also challenges to do with increased emergency and rescue services, and sometimes the billing, where we are charged for sewer 100%, and when actually we do not even consume the water service, but we pay for sewer. We've tried to adhere to the commitment control system, but that has also not helped. So, Chair, in conclusion, we're requesting that we have your indulgence to be given some ample provision, like you've had. At least defense has a promise, police has nothing that we are expecting. We also want to have enrollment onto the prepaid throughout the country, if possible. And then we do the joint meter readings, but also we have requested that we do certificate testing for some of the meters that are used for billing us. Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Honorable Members of Parliament, this committee, on behalf of the Commissioner General of Prisons, I would wish to give an overall view of the situation of Uganda Prison Service because it has a bearing on what we are discussing. So as of yesterday, 11th February 2025, we had a total of 79,280 inmates or prisoners inside in our custody. 79,280, of which 40,886 are convicted criminals, 37,875 remands, and 519 debtors. Against the prison staff of 13,944. Honorable Chair, this figure, 79,280, is the major cost driver for this continued accumulation of arrears in Uganda Prison Service. As we stand, we have a total of 164.2 billion shillings, of which 18.2 billion belongs to national water and sewerage corporations. We have a total of 266 prison units spread throughout the country, many of which are connected to the national grid for the National Water and Sewage Corporation. And that is a very huge population, because 24 hours of 7, we are with them. They are not going anywhere. So, Mr. Chairman, we do admit we are one of the biggest defaulters, but we are happy that today we are here to have a conversation so that we are able to appreciate why should Uganda Prison Service continue to accumulate such kind of debts. It's unfortunate, but we don't wish any one of us to be there. But you know, cutting off 1 day only, or even 1 minute of water in Luzira alone, it's enough. We had a situation last year. It was not very good, but eventually we reached a compromise and water was reconnected. So we are very happy, Mr. Chairman, both of you, that we have called us so that we present our situations. We are not lamenting. There are measures which we are putting in place to mitigate, and we believe that these conversations and interactions will give us a way forward. With those few remarks, I wish to call upon Commissioner Agre, who is in charge of planning, to give us the summary of our presentation on this accumulation of water bill. Thank you very much.
These parastatals have failed to pay for water. I understand, and they have dates here. But it has been a common practice here that the people invite here, we always welcome them for a working breakfast, regardless of having failed to pay for water bills. So, want it to be procedurally right, Chair, that we invite our guests, regardless of the circumstance, for a working breakfast. Thank you very much.
Good gesture as an African and as a leader, but it was not necessary to add the defaulting part of it. Nonetheless, you are invited for a working cup of tea as we proceed. Thank you.
Causes or why accumulation of arrears, we also highlighted the mitigation measures. And we are saying that in partnership with the National Water and Sewage Corporation, we have tried to have some prepaid meters, as the PSST emphasized. And we currently have prepaid meters in 15 stations. And we have requested National Water to install other 24 as phase 2, and we keep installing until we finish all those ones connected to national grid. And this is to have discipline in terms of water consumption. Then another mitigation measure, Chair, is the having embarked on providing alternative water sources. Having seen the challenge we have with national water, so we are looking at other alternative water sources, and these ones include sinking of boreholes. We have a number of stations with boreholes. There are 33. We are having deep water wells, in high population prisons, and also we are doing rainwater harvesting. So that table also is giving us the alternative water sources, which include boreholes, deep wells, rainwater harvesting, and then in some stations we still have the open or shallow wells. But also as a mitigation measure, we are doing verification of bills or joint meter reading. We have water committees in all the stations, so they keep monitoring the water meter. When the national water people come, the meter is read jointly with members of the water committee, and what is prepared by national water as a bill is verified before it is sent to headquarters for processing. I submit, Chair, and I thank you.
Chair, as you listen and handle the petition by National Water, I think it's also very important to prevail over National Water, because we accept the indebtedness, and we know we shall pay. But for National Water to wake up all of a sudden one day, one morning, and cut off water in Luzura, for example, I think it is going to be stressing for all of us. So I think they should do, you should prevail over them. They should also be moving in steps, not to rush.
What we've been able to do is to admit that we have money owing to National Water, which is a government utility company. We would not have come here if we had all the funds available to us. Now that we are here, we need your help. Tell us where we failed. Advise us, give us the way forward. But probably, like Omeme did, and this Parliament made the resolution through the minutes, same committee. That's now why we have prepaid the yakas. It was this Parliament, so that government and other people were not paying bills. Now I'm with you. Maybe National Water now should also have and roll out some of these things. It's just a discipline somehow can help us to, because everyone knows, you know, we can talk to National Water. We don't want to own National Water because they're supposed to make profit, they're supposed to run. And it's not us necessarily that we are failing, but where we get the money, even if we make a case, they know it's okay, we can talk to them. But that's where we fail. Maybe as one radical recommendation, as a bystander, not a minister, maybe we should have prepaid, and we shall see whether we can default on water. Because that would be really a big toll on us. But for the time being, we need your support to make sure that we get all these monies, not only for the paying areas, but for paying water as a consumption that comes every month, every day. As we speak now, somebody. And these are some of the facilities extended to the security forces and the services, police, UPDF, and prisons. And we would be glad to get some wisdom from you and support. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and colleagues. I think you've spoken the truth, we've defaulted. Thank you.
I listened to, and they kept telling us of a joint bill verification committee. Huh? I have heard the same from prisons, except police is saying these people just give us arbitrary bills. We don't even know whether they are correct. How about if you borrow a leaf from prisons, and that as police you can also verify these things, so that where you are in doubt, as you said, it is arbitrary. You can actually because you are the forces. People in the forces are normally supposed to be meticulous. You know, at one time we had an activity which involved the army. In my constituency there was a time there was something going on everywhere. And because I was the host, I was in charge of welfare. I'm just using an example to emphasize. So we got service providers, bulls, rice that was supposed to be cooked and so on. My friend, my entire committee, their work was to sit like this. UPDF had people who would count even rice like this. I tell you, this gentleman, no. They even, you know, they bring a sack, they first put the sack like this, then they weigh the sack itself without the rice, then they weigh it and sit down, then they put aside. I would want to think that that's what they're explaining, that they have a verification committee. Police, you are part of the forces. How is it that you still think, you say these people arbitrarily bill you? Is it not possible that you can use such systems in the police? But I would like to allow the members opportunity to interact. First Honorable Mudimi Wamakuyu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I also take the opportunity to thank our guests for the presentations. Now, on the issue of prepaid meters, bills, that was a government position sometime, which even one time, even the budget, members who have been around for some time, even communicated that to reduce on this, we should, government entity should be connected to prepaid those services meters. Even yesterday, I raised it to Managing Director of National Water. But yesterday he said, no, those meters, the people look for them in the market. When you put them, they vandalize and they steal them. I do not take that argument as in, and we should pursue that. Now, second, yes, it's true. For all this period, these entities have been grappling with areas, the utilities, until recently when Umeme changed to Yaka and so on. I think now when they reduced, it used to be telecom by then water and Yaka. But Mr. Chairman, I want Honorable Minister is a lawyer here. We are looking for a solution. And when you look at Section 21 of Public Finance and Management Act, Section 21 is talking about budget execution by accounting officers, specifically two. A vote shall not take any credit from any local supplier or a body unless it has no unpaid domestic areas from a date in the previous financial year. And it has the capacity to pay for the expenditure from the approved estimate as appropriated by Parliament for that financial. That's the accounting officer, that's the law. It's a law. You are not supposed to take any debt. But when you look at your statement here of defense, and I've also seen somewhere in places that the above amount will reduce the unpaid bills for that. Then the minister is accumulating unpaid water bills for financial year as it clears stock. Honourable Minister, are you not going against the law? So you are accumulating as you clear the law. Therefore, at the close of financial year 2025, the unpaid national water bills will amount to 36.3. That is the defense, and I read it also somewhere in one of. So how should we manage the law versus what you are submitting here? And you are admitting. The law say don't. But for you are now admitting, you say we are continuing. So we need to be advised and And you know, sanction, Honorable Boss of Boss, Section 79, M. So really, what are we doing here? So I need to be advised. You know the error, what you are telling, but you are continuing. Breach of. So we see that, Mr. Chairman, yes, we appreciate what they are going through, but if they continue to break the law, now how should we help them? They should first deal with the issue of the law before we come to that. But the owners of Burundi, where do you take them? Before they, there's nowhere you can take them. So that's my submission. We have first to clear that. It's a law.
Chair, in 1970, we had a rise in the population of inmates. I'm sorry for those who were not there by then. But there was a suggestion from then, the prisoners officer, that at least those inmates, I mean the prisoners, who were on minor cases, they were released and given minor works just to depopulate, to decongest the prisoners. It happened in 1970. I understand you have been crying here of overcrowding. Don't you think we can have you people, the commissioners, and you bring such a suggestion, because we have so many people in minor cases who can only be released by doing communal works and what have you, just to release on this problem of congestion. It happened in 1970. Some of us were here and we witnessed that. Then Mr. Oboth, I'm lucky, I'm one of the people you oriented into Parliament here. You taught me the rules of procedures here. And one of the things you emphasized, Honorable Oboth, I'm the one of the people you oriented in Parliament here. And I remember very well, you know, wherever you go against what you taught me, I always come to you and I have a problem with you here. There's something you emphasize them, that in case you meet any agency, it must be led by a minister. You oriented me on that. I still recall that. But that's not the point now. The point is, you PDF, you intimidate these national water staffs when they come to read your meters. They either end up giving wrong readings. Somebody comes into a barracks to go and read a meter. You send him with somebody with the RPG, AK-47, escorting the man who is supposed to read the meters. It has been a serious complaint over these meter readers, and some even fail to go there. I understand that leads to assumption of meters, assumption of readings. It's the same thing with the police. I don't know, they don't want people to read your meters, but these boys come, the meter readers, you intimidate them, you speak Swahili, and the tough Swahili, which is not of Uganda here. Somebody is saying, where's the meter? Where's you natoka wapi? Sasa mimi order and order, something like that. So please improve on that. I think it was the commissioner from prisons who was saying the national water should be understanding that they shouldn't disconnect you. I think somebody was from prison. But you are advocating for prepaid meters. I don't think whether with your discipline in water use and your limited budget, you can afford these prepaid meters, because they work like yaka. You load, and then you are given. After, you are cut off. How will you manage that? You need to assure us here. Otherwise, we are going to have so many strikes in your prisons And what? Because you are advocating for prepaid meters, Mr. Both or both. But these prepaid meters work like Yaka. You must know that very soon. You must assure us. Otherwise, lastly, Chair, alternative sources of water. I have a problem with that. Because we are erasing away boreholes because of the issues associated with them. And these are the ideas you are bringing here. Boreholes, because of the contamination associated with them, and what have you. And I see that as one of the alternatives you are bringing here as alternative sources. So I don't know whether you have gone through all the measures and what is required in those alternative sources, but boreholes are being erased away. But here you are advocating for them. So don't you think you are antagonistic with the Water Acts and what have you? Thank you very much. That's my submission, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the Minister of Defense and his entire team, the PS and all accounting officers. I want to thank prisons and police for appearing. Mr. Chairperson, I really want to thank you, and I hope that this meeting will lead us to a lasting solution. Mr. Chairman, I request you to direct your staff to prepare for you a technical report on how the Egyptians manage security and utility. In Egypt, utility to have no water and police. Mr. Chairman and colleagues, we need to amend the Public Finance Act and exempt all military installation from being disconnected. Power and water, two aspects, power and water, all military installations and health facilities. And I said it here last year, but some of these officers, I don't know whether Honorable Both intimidates them. The next thing that you need for security personnel, it is done in several countries around the world, that their children and their children have free quality education of their choice to any institutions of learning. Free quality education to any institutions of learning, whether private or government. They choose up to university. Share, if we do this to our security personnel, you don't need to increase their salary. This salary issue we have with police, army increase is not necessary. A police officer, an army officer, and a prison officer will defend this country, will do their work, knowing that he has left his wife at home or husband, but their children will access quality education of their children. They will go to Namagunga, they will go to Gayaza, they will go to Budo, they will go to Makere University. Government will pay. A man or a woman will defend this country with his life, knowing that his children will have better life. But that does not happen here, and they are deceived that we shall increase your pay. My dear friends, that's what you should push for. And Honorable Both, if you do this, you leave a legacy, the way you have left for judiciary. Just do that for prisons, police, and the army. You left a legacy for your children and your grandchildren in judiciary. When you say they will have salary the same until they die, whether they retire, as if they're in service. So, Mr. Chairman, my recommendation that all these areas, which is owed by prison, police, and so forth, we should consolidate all areas, by the not all this, because this is a second point here. It is criminal for government to borrow from private sector and doesn't pay. I really want to thank the Deputy Inspector General of Police that we are talking of areas of 100 billion shillings. This is money that has been borrowed from our brothers and sisters who have bank loans that mortgage their properties. And the government in the MTF is only putting 9 billion shillings. I want to use this opportunity that we ask all MDIs, all government departments, to bring all the areas we budget for once consolidated in the vote of Minister of Finance, anticipated. We shall release liquidity to the market, and then we shall increase taxes. Finally, on this other one. So for now, Honorable Both, your Commander-in-Chief made recommendation in 2000, before I think, no, by then you are a Minister of Defense, in September 2023 or 2022. that you should drill deep well. To date, 3 years down the road, I know you are a man of action, a minister of action. If really, who is sabotaging you to implement directive of the commander-in-chief? Prisons, police, you should have deep well powered by solar throughout. And this deep well, Mr. Chairperson, is not expensive. So maybe we only give you money for national water to only consume this year, but the next 2 years you should have deep well. But here I request that the Minister of Defense and all the accounting officers should commit to have a first call to clear these areas of national water. First call, clear the areas. Secondly, have your personal water, even for security. And lastly, why are you detaining Kano Kizza Besigye and others legally after even the Supreme Court ruling? We also received, Chairman, we received a report that we have inmates who have been in legal detention on remand 28 years without being produced, and the House resolved that those inmates should be released.
Honorable Kanya, where in the petition of National Water and Sewage, it does not matter whether it is a security issue, whether it is an issue of territory and boundary protection, where in the petition of National Water and Sewage Corporation do we get issues about illegal detention?
Mr. Chairman,
because you see, honorable colleagues, it is in as though tomorrow when we have another entity that has accumulated areas, and for argument's sake, when the Honorable Jane Ruth Acheng comes here, then you start asking her why the maternal mortality rate is probably increasing, in as though that is the matter that National Water brought before us. I think let us try as much as possible to work within parameters. That is why when you're doing research, there's what they call delimitation of the research. You define a scope so that you first concentrate on that. Then this afternoon, when the Speaker calls the House in order, we can rise up on one of the points that we are allowed in the House, and then we can talk about illegal detention and others.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for your guidance. But I've been advised by my neighbors that the total prison imminent, high population. In fact, that's how the name appears here. But I take your guidance.
Okay, thank you. Donald, please, Donald.
So you see, so...
Yes.
And really, the word myself used, really. I have checked
so
on
it
the
is
dictionary.
order? Are you calling her to order?
Yes, Chair. Is she in order, really? To not to use parliamentary language and... is she in order?
Members,
no,
okay.
Chair.
No, okay,
Yes,
Honorable Ekanya, Honorable Ekanya, Honorable Rose, it is over. It is over. Okay, Honorable
Chair, thank you very much.
Make it brief so that we're able to conclude. Thank you.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair.
I like what is happening between Honorable Ekanya and Rose. It is
Chair, the problem we are dealing with has been a recurrent problem. And unfortunately, it worsens every financial year. The last time the Committee of Natural Resources interfaced with it, I was a member in 2019. The bill then was about 25 billion. Chair, today we are talking about 97. Things are worsening, and all the solutions that are provided are always ignored. This gentleman even then came and said the problem is under budgeting, and that's how it ended. We sat in a meeting. They said it is under budgeting. The same story. When you look at all these documents, they are saying the problem is under budgeting. Chair, can I ask this meeting, when we are reporting to Parliament, at least we should have information as far as invoices and receipts for the last 5 years for every agency in terms of water invoices and the receipts, proof of payment, so that we at least have a report of that nature to present to our members of parliament, that our colleagues, that this MDA for this year, it has been paying like this. The invoices has been like this, and this is what they've been doing, so that probably it can forge a better way for us to make a proper decision. So I want to ask chairpersons to ask these people, because they have that information, they can give it to us, we study it, and then we find out clearly whether the problem is under budgeting as it is presented. But, Chair, they have also mentioned to do with wastage, matters to do with wastage, issues to do with wastage of waters they are using. One of the gentlemen who presented indicated that probably the water they use is also the community using it. So who are we accounting it to? The matter of pipes which are not in good shape, they contribute to wastage of the waters. So these are some of the issues that if there is any form of information that adds value to this, it can help this committee to find a long-lasting solution. Matters to do with having prisoners who are not supposed to be in prison should never be underestimated. If you're having people 3 out of the 79 and you're saying you have 400 who are on remand, why can't we begin by at least working on that? They reduced to the 35,000 that we are supposed to have in prison. That is good information, and it is contributing significantly, like he presented, that this is a big contributor to the problem we are having. And those are some of the other issues, Chair, that must be picked by our report as we are reporting to the House. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, I need to join my colleagues. Chair, you missed to see the minister in front of you when he was an MP. He was a very sharp person. I'm wondering what is happening now.
Oh, he's still sharp, don't you?
Chair, these lamentations.
Before you came, there were actually comments that were crediting him for many things, including men from the east, the wise men, Kenya. So you cannot say he's not wise.
Thank you, Chair. I'm making such a comment. Chair, some of these lamentations and the wishes that the minister and his team have presented, when you appointed a minister, you are supposed to provide the solutions. Let some of these things be within your docket there. Find a solution. You come and table the solution. But wishing and some of these other things, Chair, don't work. Chair, I need to join the colleagues that said we cannot exempt some of these entities from paying. Chair, we can't exempt UPDF. How? In fact, if National Water knew they would be cutting off water for UPDF every day, the president would wake up. Because the president doesn't want...
My friend.
Chair, let me build my point.
No. There are some words we shouldn't entertain.
Let me withdraw.
Yes. Just withdraw that word of...
Let me withdraw. Chair, we shall not go there. The president has written a letter saying the Minister of Finance should give money. You get it? Now, Minister of Finance is adamant in giving money. So we must scratch Minister of Finance. How do we scratch Minister of Finance, Chair? Honorable Minister, what entity gets the first call in the supplementary? If UPDF, police and prison cannot be catered for in the supplementary, who should be catered for? An area of that kind. That's why people are saying, like Kenya, that we exempt some of these entities. Chair, it will be abused. The moment we say we are exempting, it will be abused. Some of these bodies will come, government schools will come and say we need also to be exempted, and so on and so forth. So some of these things, these are the things that we must look for and get solutions. Chair, the entities...
I'm waiting for your solution before you conclude, because you're about to...
The entities have not refused to pay, and they are not denying that they know the debt. They know the debt. But they are saying Ministry of Finance is adamant, which you heard, Chair. And the President has equally written a letter where you have a copy. But your ministry has refused to pay. Now, but your ministry every day will come and demand for money from Parliament. But the sensitive bodies are not helped. I wonder, Chair, before...
You see, I think that's... members, we shouldn't be as if we are living in isolation of the environment in which we are. The percentage of the tax to GDP, you know how we are performing. And therefore, we are trying to live within the means. We are trying to live within the means. So when we come here, we are looking for a solution of how to address a matter in terms of the obligation that the National Water and Sewage Corporation has with URI and how to balance off. But we shouldn't be living as if we think we have all the resources, yet we have decided not even to borrow money from external sources.
Thank you, Chair.
So
Chair, let me conclude with the two solutions.
Thank you, Chair.
Therefore, we do in your ministry. Let us address that and have the money sent to these entities. The second one, Minister, you have other colleagues who are heading internal affairs and so on and so forth. You also go in a caucus and find a solution for the problem, but you must pay for water.
Yes, Honorable Bangura. Next.
Thank you very much.
We've gained a lot more wisdom from the interaction today. Thank you for those kind words, the recommendations we've made, the analysis, and you've made us wiser. Just a few clarification, and then I'll make a general one if anybody else feels there are specific areas you want to intervene. There is no intimidation of water meter readers. By nature of our work, we carry guns. It's not for intimidation. That's part of, like a teacher carrying a chalk. You can't say that teacher is bragging for being a teacher, carrying a chalk or a pen. And most of these facilities are in protected areas. You know, you can't just come. And I think this is work that we are going to work on with National Water to just liaison with us so that there's smooth operations. That we speak Swahili. Swahili is the second official language in Uganda. It's not under Article 6.2, is not of our constitution. It's not a language from somewhere else. And advocating for prepaid. No, this was to throw the stones into the works. I knew that some of you would want to. It's a huge thing. If we are really serious, then let's do it that way. But because we are serious, but not really serious, we make appropriation for money, and money is never enough. Prepaid is where you pay for the services. At midnight, the money you put there could be over, like Yaka. Yeah, it goes off. But do we have that capacity as Parliament and government? This is something that can be considered for the future. I'm not really advocating for that, but the best way forward to avoid areas is prepaid. But even those who are implementing it, they're not comfortable using this. The story of Omeme, which I had the privilege to do that, was that they used to estimate meters. They see this is so many people here could take this much of electricity. And it was a huge problem. I've not had any experience with National Water. Appreciating National Water, I think the MD, Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha, is one of the best corporate managers that we have. And with his team, they've done a great job to really run that institution. They are very patient with us. We don't want to thank him for our bad behaviors, but he knows the the challenges that we go through. The rest of Luwero Industries, we did not, there's a member who said that why can't Luwero Industries pay its own bill? And I thought that was not properly understood. Luwero Industries is one of the suppliers where we buy water from. We said not only national water, they named many, those are other private entities, and the total is about 5 billion. So we also owe some of them water. So I know that Omukuka could have thought that we pay for Luwero Industries. No, he's also a supplier like National Water. And we are doing a lot for like Ministry of Defense. The engineer is here. We'll tell you that based on the directive from the President, every new construction now that we are constructing, we provide water source. Engineer, basically, can you confirm that? Before I
clarification, Honorable Minister, I say that UPDF is involved in income generation, like it's getting tenders, construct schools, what? Why can't the little money they accumulate can't they?
Brigadier General Bekunda, can you confirm what we do now with regard to?
Yes, sir. In the water and sewage infrastructure, and we are providing own water supply, particularly deep boreholes. It's only those barracks which are within the towns where we get water, but most of them are in very rural areas, and we are having own water supply system, sir.
Thank you very much. So we are, I know National Water, one of the largest. If we went radically to change and get our own water sources, it would also affect National Water. So we have to do that sensitively and calculatively as a government and government. Yeah. So the BFP on areas is not deliberate. Every year, and somebody said this is very recurrent. I had that observation all throughout here. Very recurrent. And unless we get a new definition of what recurrent is. Recurrent, if it's something that reoccurs, every financial year, these great people here put it to Ministry of Finance. But when the circulars, the call circulars, the word for BFP comes, you will see the allocation is limited, or it is ignored, or is put aside. We appreciate the situation that we are going through, but water should be able to compete with all other needs. So the ministry prioritizes, but at the time of implementation, we don't get as much adequate resources to do that. So Ministry of Finance has always come in to give us the support, but now the support comes a little late when we've already consumed the water, and maybe we are not, like Ministry of Defense, 16 months due. So supporting the issue of exemption, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Internal Affairs, what is your view? Because this is, first of all, government to government. One person called or both with the two pockets. One here has the money. This side is National Water demanding. So we can make recommendations on how.
Before he comes in, actually the gist of the matter that the National Water and Sewage Corporation has brought before us is what you're trying to symbolically demonstrate, that there should be a swapping of sorts where invoiced or receipted is deemed paid. So that now in government, you know that that is the matter that they are putting before us. Yes, let's hear from him.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, I think you have addressed what was coming to mind, because the proposal as it came from the honorable member was to exempt, but that it's not actually exempting. It is looking at how can we centralize the payments of these
for these utilities, for these key institutions, the finance could centralize the payments, we the institutions take part in the verification of the bills before that payment, so that that could solve, if that could solve the problem. Thank you.
Yes, whether we are offending Section 21 of Public Finance Management Act and the penalty is in Section 79. Now, as a lawyer, not a minister, when you see a particular section of the law is being violated by the majority, it's either the problem is with that law, which is not factual, or with the violators. In this case, we made the law that Section 21(2), you don't commit when you have arrears. Has it worked? Has there been anybody who has been given a penalty? Because the reality is that this law is a good law, but not supported by the financing. So this law is redundant, in other words, may need to be amended to have the actual thing. This is a law where a system is envisaged that the financing, the budgeting will be followed through properly. So with those so many, I don't know, PS and the accounting officer, defense, do you want to wrap up a few things and PS find internal affairs? I thought I had tried. Yes. Law. I would use the law conveniently. I don't think it would be.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Yes,
Honorable colleagues, I would like to appreciate you on behalf of myself and my coach.